Welcome to the Hello FirstName podcast. The Hello FirstName podcast revolves around the term personalization and is brought to you by marketing author Rasmus Holing, founder of Omnichannel Institute and Chief Experience Officer at the marketing automation software company Agilic. The podcast is based on the book Hello FirstName. Each episode is based in turn on a chapter from the book, followed by a discussion of the very same chapter with an expert marketing practitioner in the following episode. As always, you can buy the book on Amazon or other bookstores. You can also choose to listen to it all for free on your favorite podcast service. You're also very welcome to download the abstract of the book for free, and all models, of course, are able to download. All downloads are sponsored by Agilic. I'll make sure to put a link to everything in the show notes. But you can always connect on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to reply and help out. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Hello FirstName podcast. Today we're going to discuss chapter 21 from the book Hello FirstName, and the chapter is called Governance. It's the third last chapter, actually, so we are approaching an end here of the book. It would be an extremely boring discussion if I were to discuss this with myself. So today I have Tina Lambert, who's head of CRM at Danish Industry, in the studio. Tina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And just for the, not everybody will probably be familiar with the Danish Industry, or Dansk Industry, as we call it in Danish. So maybe you can tell us first a bit about Dansk Industry, Danish Industry, and then a bit about your career.
Yeah, Danish Industry is a business organization with 20,000 members, companies all across Denmark. The biggest one in Denmark. And it ranges between very big companies as Maersk and Novo Nordisk, Danfoss, etc., but mostly smaller enterprises. And the mission is to help these companies to thrive both locally and globally. We have around 100,000 people who work at these companies in our systems, and we can potentially communicate with them all.
Yeah.
We also want a wider range and looking into how we can get that. And we want to be more B2C driven. And the C is a person, not a company.
Individuals
And
and not companies.
that's necessary to use automation and personalization, which is our goal. We have I have 1,200 colleagues, mostly working out from Copenhagen. We also have offices in around the world. So the export part is very big
for helping your clients and your members actually do the export and monetize that.
Yeah.
How
And
big a part does the political landscape play in your?
Very much, yeah. And I think that's also what people see when they see us in the media, our CEO, and so it's huge. But also we have a lot of advisory regarding employment law and networking is also a big service for us, putting people together in relevant networks. So
learning from peers that are doing something similar to what you're doing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. What drew you into that field of CRM and personalization to some extent?
Well, I've been at Danish Industry for many years. First, I graduated with a master in business administration and labor law, and spent 20 years working with that within this company. And then in 2017, I took over the leadership of a team who worked primarily with collecting data from our members, keeping our data sources fit, and not using data, but keeping the platform fit.
And and in your current role, what is the role and responsibilities then?
Now I have a huge team of 15 people working for me, and it's kind of grown a lot since 2017. I usually say that we set fire to the data. We tried and started to use it in a more like evolving way, and helping our colleagues to use data. And also I have grown with taking over the responsibilities of employer measurements and the customer journey and customer what can you say, interaction, engagement. And in that role we also have new skills joining the team lately, a data scientist and a CRM specialist, as we have bought this automation system that we haven't had before. That's
So it seems like you are almost finally harvesting some of the seeds that you sowed before. So all getting the data right and in order and whatever. So finally you can start to really put it to work for it.
we have used we have segmented like early on, but not in this way, not in with that tool or engine, you can say. No.
So what does a typical day look like for you in this position? With 15 direct reports.
So a lot of meetings. I would say, but I'm leading the way. I'm bringing the focus. It may sound stupid to say, but we need to keep the members or the customers in the center of what we do, and that's a daily operation to do that. Because with the 1,200 people who see the world as their playground, and the way that they function and their job in this organization is to spread out what they know. It's the same people that we are talking to all the time or trying to communicate with, and they need to be dosed.
Yeah, I guess if you say everything to everybody all the time, then
no,
maybe
that would be stressful for the members.
So summing up, so around 20,000 clients and probably at least some contacts for each of those.
For each, 100,000, around 100,000.
15 direct reports, and what's it? And how
1,200
many
colleagues. 1,200.
See a lot of things moving here. There's the political agenda. There's also the importance of actually helping each of your clients or members to thrive, as you put it.
Yeah.
Moving on to the topic about governance, because this, I mean, to my understanding, this calls for some kind of governance to make sure that we're not, wrong stuff or having the same discussions over and over again. But in your experience, why do you see governance as crucial in CRM and personalization?
I would say, with one word, it would be trust. We need our customers and the people working within the companies to trust us when we send things to them, or we want to show them things, that we do it in the right manner. So that's crucial for us. We cannot, as this type of organization, just be commercial. Nothing wrong with that, but we have to have ticked off the right boxes.
So it's a matter of balancing like commercial interests and those interests of your interest as an organization, balancing those with the interest of the
it's very difficult
members.
Okay.
And how does that impact personalization strategies, for instance,
the way we started working with the GPDR, we implemented it in our systems. So we have it in our CRM system and the basic data systems. Day to day, there's nothing like, we are not concerned about how the actions our colleagues do, but this engine given a focus on what kind of permissions we have, because we haven't been focused on permissions before, and that's very crucial in using this tool the right way.
So what you're saying is that because you have a tool where you now need to sort of implement which kind of interest that people had, that has put like a stress or extra pressure on it actually getting this right.
I don't think we're not stressed about it, but we are certainly seeing what we need to have in order to use this engine right. And we want to be more commercial, and we want to use marketing much more than we've done before. It's not something that our members or customers they are not like raising eyebrows about that, because that's there every day. It's just us that hasn't been focused on that, because we've seen ourselves in another role. But when you start to build up the data model for sending out things via the system, it's a main focus for us to get it right. And one of the first programs that we set up was like to collect permissions.
Yeah, that sounds like a good place to start.
Yeah.
So in the book, we're covering actually sort of three types of governance. We're touching upon like multiple ways of either being governed by external departments or by imposing governance on your own. So either regulatory, like by law, or by other departments, or what I call self-imposed. So do these categories make sense in your work at Danish Industry? Can you sort of mirror those to how your everyday life looked like?
Yeah, it sure does. Because as you might get out of what I'm saying, is that the people that we communicate with, they're not your regular customer. They haven't bought anything in a web shop or are interested in that. So we have like a filter that we have to submit to everything we do. So it's very important for us. We have different needs within the organization. It's a very complex organization. And as I said before, they all want to publish what they know and what they do and what they find interesting. So it's certainly something that we have to consider when we...
And when you're the one with a message that you want to go out, you generally
Yeah,
have a tendency to sort of overestimate how relevant that is to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah, yeah.
I think there's a saying which goes like, for a little kid with a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
Not urgent.
No. I get it.
Yeah. All right. Compliance and regulations for one thing. I'd like to ask you, how does data processing, privacy regulations, and consent management, you already touched a bit upon this. How do they play into sort of your CRM strategies?
It's as I said, it's a huge role. We cannot ignore it, and it's also limited for us because we don't have that many permissions yet. We're working on it. So we have it into consideration every time we do anything. And in fact, my own opinion is that maybe we have to rethink these things, because permissions is it's not a negative word, but we have to be more precisely in explaining our customers and the people working by the companies what we really want to show them. Because if we want to show them the value of the membership, and that's one way to do it, when you communicate what they might find interesting. And then the permissions could limit our ways to do that. So
I think that's a good point. So
yeah,
maybe taking like a broad approach to permissions and then talk about interests instead. So what that you'd like to hear us from us about.
That's been a learning thing for me over the past year.
Yeah, I think you can easily, and I mean, especially when I hear this a lot, actually, when heads of CRM or CMOs or whatever are turning to the heads of legal, it's very easy to get a no, because that's the no risk response that you'd get from someone who's within legal. So, I mean, if I'm in doubt, I'll just say no, because then I know no one will fire me for having sort of allowed something that was out of bounds. On the other hand, these people don't often have the sort of in-depth knowledge about how CRM and marketing works. So for them to actually, don't expect them to understand sort of the level of details of what you're working with. That's where you really need to come together with them. Or else you will run into a sort of a lot of challenges. And I mean, now we're talking about interests and consent, but there's also like regulations like GDPR and spam regulatives and whatever that they're cooking up out of the EU. So what are sort of your main challenges in complying with regulations like this?
Overall, we have this headline that says we won't do anything in conflict with the laws.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah, of course, no one
I would
wants to do
advise
that. I
everyone.
know that, but we are not risk takers.
Yeah.
I can relate to what you say about the ones that keeps us on track with this, but we also have customers that are very much aware of that they, as I said before, didn't sign up to just get a newsletter with a lot of great offers. That's not why they're here.
So again, balancing the commercial stuff
Yeah, we
or
have
and
to
the
balance it out so that they feel that like they are getting what they signed up for. But that's the main thing, or one of the features in this system, that we can do that. We can make as many exhibitions or templates as we want to.
matching that up with the segments. And
Yeah, we do a lot of segments then.
I
Yeah.
would. These members, they're coming from completely different industries. I mean, even though you're industry or Danish industry, there's so many. How many sub segments do you have of your clients?
I usually say we have as many as we have members.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's because we want to use personalization much more, and not in a segmentation way, but like real personalization.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, most people have that ambition as well. Yet some communication is often,
Yeah,
so you're doing an invite for an event, and the event is
yeah,
what the event is.
yeah,
So it's more a matter of, okay, so how many different ways does it make sense to talk about this event?
yeah.
Probably not 1,200. Have you?
100,000. No. Sure. If it's a newsletter, it's not that hard because you know who wants to have that. And
Yeah,
but if it's a theme like ESG or something, you have to look across and say who's used that, who's been in touch with our advisors within this field, or who's been to a webinar or a conference where that was the topic, and then you gather those sources and ship it out. And
and
it sounds easy when we talk about it, but and I think we have quite a structured data. So, but it still keeps us busy doing that.
yeah, I think that some people actually overlook that. So just because you have a good sort of, and maybe we get to this under sort of the self-imposed processes, but
Mm,
a good data structure and data hygiene can actually corrode or rust away if you don't take
mm,
time
mm, mm,
initially to keep it.
mm.
But let's
Yeah.
talk about sort of the cross departmental governance first. So I'd like to ask you, how do other departments like IT or procurement and such, how do they influence legal as well? How do they influence your CRM and personalization efforts?
Procurement, not so much now,
Mm.
because procurement is more interested in things when you buy something, and they want to make sure that we have the right process and the right prices, and yeah, and afterwards that we can stand up for what we chose, because
Yeah,
sometimes we have to choose between members who have the same services or tools or systems
yeah,
or whatever, and then it's important that we can say we had these things that we needed to be a part of the case, the business case, and now we've made this decision.
so they
So
usually play a role in
they're
the
like in and out,
market.
depending on where we are.
Okay.
IT is our main partner.
Mm.
I mentioned that we have this data model that we need to get built up, and also in choosing what tool we chose, it was important that it fitted in with the rest of the landscape that we have. We have a huge landscape. I own some of the tools from a business point of view, and it had to fit together with the CRM system and standard database
Yeah, I
system
think
and what.
that's a thing we see more and more, sort of the whole composability.
Yeah,
So there's fewer and fewer companies out there who have
yeah,
like one suite
yeah,
where it fits in, because they always have some tools that don't, and then it's really a matter of composability anyways.
yeah.
That's
And as you mentioned in your book, the forming a shadow IT was not part of what we wanted to do, even though I have a data scientist in my team, but he's used to doing more like machine learning and things that we need to use onward. But we have to respect each other from where we are with what we know, and then find a common ground in
I think this
going
this has
forward.
changed because looking back, sort of in 2012 or whatever, I think Gartner came with an article that said that the CMO would outspend the CIO in terms of software or
Mm,
technology by
mm,
the year 2017.
mm,
And I'm not sure that ever happened. And at
mm,
least now the power has shifted, if not
mm,
back, then it's a more distributed
mm,
way. And we
mm,
say,
mm,
oh, we need to
mm.
work together on this, which is
Yeah.
what I hear that you're also very aware of. And
Mm,
it does actually come as an advantage if you play it correctly. Because
yeah.
IT has some structure for how you do stuff and how you exactly do governance and how your processes are set and so on and so on, because they are normally delivering sales numbers to the CFO, and such numbers need to be in order, where marketers can maybe be like from a general point of view, be a bit more easygoing with those terms.
The
Uh,
other thing that was kind of new in terms of doing this was the focus on what's coming in, the behavioral data and the
yeah,
performance data, and we want to use that in other parts of the company, and we've been focused on what we collected, and then that it looked nice, streamlined and clean, and this behavioral and performance data is much more like free
yeah.
data, and we needed to secure that we had a space for that, because that's going to be the main source in personalization, I think.
And how do you align different departments around that to, for instance, it sounds like you're talking about data governance here. How do you align with
Uh,
departments to make sure that you are in fact aligned on this? Is there a
uh,
role meeting on a regular basis, or
Fortunately, the ones working with our web and Google Analytics, they are our closest team members. You can say the team next to us, and I don't think there are any. Not now. There are not any other teams that are that interested in that. It grows in our team
Hmm, okay,
mostly. There are some of the like where they have like what do you call it? Where we have hotlines where people call in. You use that data to like streamline and find out what's the hot topic now, and that could be a source in the future, like to where do we need to develop things, and
yeah. So there's a
that's
potential
also,
new data source that
yeah,
you could
yeah.
start deploying.
I'm not using that yet, but it could be something that
Yeah.
we would use going on.
Going a bit back to sort of the political nature of Danish industry.
Mm,
Um, so you have many departments with each their area of expertise, as I
mm,
understand it.
mm.
Uh, And with all these internal stakeholders, how do you align everyone sort of on communication policies, for instance, and governance policies? How do you align them on that?
At the moment, not very much, but we are on this journey in doing so. It's a matter of working close together and showing the good examples of what's working and what's not working in the
Mm.
way we're doing things now, and what the potential is in what we want to do.
Yeah.
So that's our main focus right now.
And what good looks like, and is there
Mm,
I don't know,
Yeah, I
lighthouse?
think we'll take it step by step and do some proof of concepts on different pieces of communication to see what works and what doesn't work. I
Yeah.
don't think we'll do a total blowout and close everything else down and just say now it's gonna. That I don't think that would be very popular.
Mm.
And some parts of the way we communicate will still need to be as it is.
Yeah.
I think we're starting in with by doing some analysis on. We are starting by doing some analysis on what we are doing now and how it performs.
And sort of in your switching to sort of internal governance practices. I mean, with that many team members, was it 15? How do you decide on who does what? And so if you are, I mean, do you have a process for how to do a campaign, or how do you choose between two types of communication that maybe is sort of set to go out on the same day?
Yeah.
How do you manage that on an internal basis between
Yeah,
your
actually, in terms of working with this subject, it's not 15 people because we do a lot of other things. But so right now it's 1-2 women army we are
Yeah.
having, and we have a lot of people working with these subjects and themes around the organization, and we have a lot of meetings. They have a lot of meetings and showing the way and working together with setting up different different programs and monitoring how they perform. So I think for you, you will consider it very early stages.
But I
But
guess you are also, I mean, you
it's
just,
change management, so we are planning, but we haven't executed that much yet.
yeah. But it sounds like you also, I mean, in the book, we're talking about these 3 maturity levels, sort of hack,
Mm, mm,
and at a sort of an overall level, it seems like you are at a place now where you have the data foundation in place,
mm.
which is a
Yeah,
good thing. If you want
yeah,
to do any personalization and
yeah.
not do it wrong, like sending out emails where it says "Hello FirstName," we've all tried that.
No, we haven't done that.
That's good, yeah. But I mean, now you're at a place where data is check, that's in place. Technology, to some extent, yes, that's also in place. The sort of organizational challenges, and how do we make sure? I mean, now we have this new Ferrari. Where do we take it, and who gets to drive
Yeah,
it, and who changes the
yeah,
tire?
yeah.
Stuff like that. So,
The scenario I would want to go for is that it's centralization, but I don't know if we can pull it through.
yeah.
When my colleagues hear about the system, actually, I'm not interested in the system itself or the tool itself. I'm interested in what we can get out of it and how our members will feel it and get to know it. So just replacing what we use now with this system is for me a non-option. I'm not gonna go down that trail. Not if I can avoid it, at least,
Yeah. I
because
think in
I
general,
don't think it will move anything.
yeah, already having another system generally
Yeah, but
don't give you
of
anything.
course, if we
So,
can set down a framework and say you're only allowed to have one piece of information from Danish Industry today, and if you wanna send this out, it won't go out until Friday or whatever.
yeah.
That would do something to the communication pressure. That's not the main reason why we bought it.
I heard that there were some things in the sort of selection process where you're looking into, and this is where I see you actually being very sort of forward-minded, looking into sort of the new anti-spam legislatives that might come out of the EU. Something about not repeating messages too much.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It can translate to that if we have like 15 newsletters, and some of them are built up around the same news because we have an overall newsletter. And if you have a newsletter you send out from another team, maybe it's a very specific group of members that are connected to that team, it will contain the same news. Some of them are,
Yeah.
and we are not interested in sending out for example, newsletters with the same news to one person.
Yeah. So
And
the
then
idea is that, so say that I'm subscribed to multiple newsletters, then there could very well be one central piece of news that is included in all of them.
Yeah.
So I get an email where
Yeah.
that may be perceived as a bit
Yeah.
spammy. That could
Yeah.
be in
Yeah.
violation of potential.
Yeah. That would be a problem for not only us, but I think for many companies or organizations like this. But
And for the user, obviously, and the recipient, it would be super annoying. So why
mm,
am I getting
mm,
these four semi-identical newsletters?
yeah.
That probably means that you need to control not only who gets which newsletter, but who gets which piece of content within a
Mm,
newsletter. I mean, that's I guess that
I
looking into how legal will impact your way of selecting which systems to
mm,
deploy,
mm, mm,
that should be a priority. Not only looking at what we need today, but also what could be the legislations that we'll put under tomorrow. So
yeah.
does
Yeah.
the flexibility allow
Yeah.
for? All right. So I mean, it sounds like you're done with sort of the procurement part now, at least
Mm,
with the current system landscape. So you have some experiences there. You did some due diligence with legal, both in terms of looking forward and as part of the procurement process. You've done a
mm,
lot of liaising with IT to make sure that things are looking smooth and data is correct and it's updated
mm,
and
mm,
whatnot.
mm, mm.
Uh, which sort of learnings for best practices would you recommend other organizations that were looking to implement this in their personalization strategies?
Mm. That's a good question. I think that maybe the easy thing is to do all the things you've done. You've just said that we've done, and we've done. The big chunk is ahead of us in the stakeholder management part.
Mm.
The framework that needs to include everyone so that they feel that they are seen and heard and they
Yeah.
can get their message out. That's a change management project that we have ahead of us. Maybe a good advice could be really understand what it is that you want to do with it.
Yeah.
And that sounds maybe stupid, but but nevertheless, I think I've learned a lot from having the process around choosing the right tool. And actually, when this ended as my responsibility, I had been on the sideline for a year or two, and I was just interested in getting data back. From whatever we sent out,
Yeah.
and it had a focus on newsletters
Yeah.
and newsletter, personalized newsletter, la la la, and that's still a main topic.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, but the way we can be much more professional in our communication and the ways we can communicate all sorts of things to people so that
Mm.
they feel known by us. It's blown me away. Everything has everything we do, we can find some sort of teeny bit that we can use this automation system for.
Yeah.
For example, when we ask our members how they like being a member
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Danish Industry, and they tell us, we didn't know about this, and
Mm.
how can we use you, and we're not sure, and when we know what they've been exposed for and what they haven't reacted to or what
Mm.
they haven't known about, we can take this info in and say, well, I'm gonna do this program, and it's not easy, I know that, but we
Mm.
can just send you this information and you will feel like you've been seen, not for the first time, but you actually get something with a value for the way that you what you need in your company right now.
That's interesting. Yeah. So that's been
Mm.
a new sort of a mind blowing or a new thing to you. Actually
No.
finding out, okay, so we need to choose a system. Then someone
Mm.
comes and asks me,
Mm.
okay, so what do you intend on using this system for? And then
Mm.
going through that thought process
Mm.
sounds like that gave you a lot of clarity.
Yeah, and then also bringing in some of the employees that knows about this. That's key too. It's important. The first time we talked about it, it wasn't even on the menu to have a system like that. We were just like, oh, we can segment our way out of this. And No, you can't.
Yeah.
It's gonna be too heavy for you. So bringing in the right people who knows what to do, it's also a key factor in getting this rolling.
Yeah, so it
And you
sounds like
see,
there's a
like
lot of sort of efficiency, internal efficiency gains that you are
that too, yeah.
looking for too.
That too, but that's always the business case when you can save this and that, but in this example, I think that it's like a tool, or a old wheel that you kind of push. It's heavy, but as it gets rolling, people adapt it much more and say we could do that, and we could also do that and this, and it
Ideas
just
pop up.
spins off.
All right, we're closing in towards the end of our discussion here, Tina. So there's one question that I always ask my guests. So, what is your favorite example of personalization that you've experienced as a consumer?
I think it's Netflix. I watch a lot of TV in my spare time, relaxing, just not, yeah,
Don't we all?
yeah, I know, but I say it. And I love how simple it is, and it gives me new ideas to what to watch. I also know that sometimes I'll be cornered up in something, and I kind of need to reboot by watching something else. Yeah, and the omni-channel thing is also very good. I think I get the newsletters, and I follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
Instagram, and there, yeah.
Yeah, I think they are indeed one of the world's most famous companies using personalization, and they have the numbers to prove it.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy that as well. It's actually one of the cases from the book how they're actually doing the replacement of the ribbons on a personalized way. So the top line of recommendations that you're getting will be different from the one that I'm getting, also depending on the time you're opening up the Netflix app.
Yeah.
And the sort of the image that they'll be putting on each show to promote it will be different depending on which person that they are presenting it to. So have indeed gone a very long path on this. So thank you for that, Tina, and thank you for sharing your experiences. As I hear it, you're at a space in terms of governance or at a place where you have liaised very much with procurement, you have liaised very much with legal, you have now some systems in place, and now you're looking to see how can you do your own sort of processes for how to make sure that the right members are getting the right message at the right time without over spamming, and constantly sort of balancing your own objectives in terms of what you want to achieve with each member, but also in terms of what does the member actually want to get from being a member of Danish Industry. And it sounds like you have some very sound processes, and just even the procurement process alone has brought up a lot of clarity on what is it actually that we want to achieve and how is that really going to look. So thank you very much for sharing your experience on this, Tina.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And to the listeners, I would say thank you for listening in on this. Remember that all the models and the illustrations from Hello FirstName can be downloaded from omnichannelinstitute.com/resources. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. You can also download a written abstract, and very soon, once we've released the next chapter, we'll actually be having the full book available as an audio book version. So that probably means that it's time to update some of the content, but that's for next year's season. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for listening in on this episode of Hello FirstName. Remember that all models and even a written abstract of the book are available for download. You'll find the link in the show notes.
In our next episode, which is a classical audiobook chapter, we'll be rounding off this season of the Hello FirstName podcast. You'll be listening to Chapter 22, Achieving Organizational Maturity for Personalization. This chapter gives the readers/listeners practical advice for how to break through the glass ceilings between the hack, pack, and stack levels of maturity. As a small bonus, the short Chapter 23, which is the conclusion of the book, is also part of this episode.